Welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Grant Thompson, just along for the ride.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and I love talking about cards. And that's what we're going to do today.
He's back to loving talking about cards. Ted, you never know what you get when we introduce you.
Like a box of chocolates?
That's exactly right.
But I never got that analogy because there's a map. There's always a map. Have you ever had a box of chocolates where
all
there
the time?
A map?
All the time.
Yeah, but I just
but no. Yeah, I've never.
If I were to compare anything to the box of chocolates analogy from Forrest Gump, is that it would be our patrons, because you meet and play with them, and you never know what kind of decks they're going to play.
Yes. And so, Ted, thank you so much for bringing up our patrons. So, it's without these patrons, we wouldn't be able to keep the lights on. So thank you so much for everybody helping us do what we do. And every week, I'm always so grateful for people who believe in what we are bringing to them, especially in this time when things are getting a little bit strange and tough sometimes. It's nice to have an escape, and so I'm glad that we can provide that. So we have 16 patrons as of the recording of the show. We have Sean, Russ, Robert, Rob, Phil, Dominic, Mike, Matt, Lewis, Kyle, Justin, Joseph, Jason, David, and Daniel. And so thank you, everybody, for being awesome patrons. And if you want to become a patron, you can still be eligible for swag, Card Talk swag, that we're going to try to get out by Con of the Rings, or for Con of the Rings, if it's still happening. And if you want to become a patron for anywhere from $1 all the way up to $7.5 million, feel free to just follow them, go right here. So, anyways, thank you to our patrons. You guys are the best. And let's move on to the core set, right? Grant,
well,
go ahead.
I just wanted to say that if you do become a patron, you are also eligible to join me on my weekly live stream for Card Talk.
Oh, that's right.
Where we take on quests that you want to do, and we will play through until we get a victory.
That's right. So Grant, inspired by our playthrough of Under the Ash Mountains, Grant has taken on live streaming with and of course our patrons get first crack at live streaming with Grant. And so we're 3 or 4 weeks in now, and Grant is loving it, and it's a great way for Grant to get content out there and not be along for the ride, right, Grant?
Exactly, and as of this recording, we've just live streamed with one of our patrons, Dominic Schleunleben, against Mount Graham, and that was quite fun to do.
Yeah, Mount Graham is a nice quest, but
it's a fun quest.
It is fun quest. I love that quest. I have 2 favorite multiplayer quests, and it's Foundations of Stone and Mount Graham, because you get separate staging areas.
There it is.
In both scenarios.
I think you were going to pick Breaking of the Fellowship, because that also has separate staging areas.
Oh, that too. Mm-hmm.
There it is.
But as we were talking, we're going back to scouting from the core set, and we are using the Rohan Snowbourn Scout. The leadership ally for the cost of 1 was.
Did you just segue into what the card was? Can I don't mean to.
Oh,
okay.
He did. It's cool.
Okay. I was just that was slick there. I was like, wait, when did we start talking about scout? Okay, so we're scouting the core set. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I did mean to interrupt, but I was like, what's going on? Okay, go ahead.
So as I was saying, it has the cost of 1, 0 willpower, 0 attack, 1 defense, 1 hit point. He has the Rohan and Scout trait, and with the response after the Snowbourn Scout enters play, choose a location and place 1 progress token on that location.
Yeah, I really love the Snowbourn Scout. I'll start this off. I'm so glad that there's 3 of them in the core set. First of all, that leadership deck that you take right out of the core set box is one of the is probably maybe the strongest of the decks, most well-rounded at least. And the Snowbourn Scout is nice because it allows new players to understand how important like pseudo questing is. Putting that 1 progress on a location can be vital, especially in that core set when you have things like the brown lands that come up that are like 5 threat, but 1 you can just get rid of that before you even have to worry about it the next round. So that's phenomenal, and it's just a really good chump blocker. I'm so used to playing my what do I want to say? My Sylvan deck that like a lot of low cost allies seem to like have limitations, like they can't attack and defend. Galleon can't attack and defend. The Galathrim Weaver can't attack and defend. So it's just like that's not the case with all of them, but it just seems like I'm always limiting myself. So to see a 1 cost card that can come out, do something right when it comes out, and then you can just sack it off as a chump blocker, like that's phenomenal. It's still a card that I look to and put in my decks now, even when I build Rohan decks that have leadership in it. I have a Council of the Wise deck that has a copy of this in it.
Because that's all you can have.
Because you can only have 1 copy. But, I just think it's really a great card. So, Ted, what do you think of this guy?
What I think of Snowbourn Chump. Snowbourn Chump has been sacrificed. Do you know how many hill trolls have killed Snowbourn Scouts? Do you know how many Snowbourn Scouts have died at the hands of orcs and wargs?
I know, just
probably
all of them.
Too many.
Right. Every single one of them. Several times.
Yeah, it's, that card, he served his function in the core set when the card pool was smaller. He's the downside to him really is that his primary function is a chump blocker. It's so hard to have him do anything else.
That's because he doesn't do anything. He has
he
no
has no stats.
Right, he's got no stats except the defense.
Yeah, the single best use for him. He's a cheap ally though to throw away. If you have to discard allies from play or discard cards from your hand, he's not a big loss that you suffer. The 1 progress he puts on is nice if you are pairing him with other exploration effects, and you just need 1 extra progress to get a location explored, because you can put it anywhere, active location or in the staging area. He works real well with Ride to Ruin, the spirit card, where you sacrifice the Rohan character. And really any of the Rohan cards where you have to sacrifice a character, because there's more than 1. I think Helm also requires you to sacrifice Rohan character.
Well, that's the Rohan thing, right? Discard characters and do stuff.
So he's a 1 cost ally to fuel those cards. And that's his like, he's the most fodder card in the game next to
Squire of the Citadel.
like this guy is the red shirt of the Lord of the Rings LCG. Him and the Squire, they put on their red shirts and they go boldly ahead.
They go boldly.
But like David at the minute with his red shirt.
Right. Well, he's got his red cloak on, so that's always like maybe that's an indication.
Maybe that's intentional. Just saying.
Right.
Okay.
What do you think? Crit?
Well, apart from being an excellent chump blocker, the only downs I like him, especially very early on in the card pool. He was the ideal chump, as has been stated. But I also like pairing them with the Mariner's Compass.
What does the Mariner's Compass do? Remind us.
Attached to a leadership or scout character, at the beginning of the travel phase, exhaust Mariner's Compass and attached character to search the top 5 cards of the encounter deck for a location. Switch that location with a location in the staging area and shuffle the encounter deck.
Yeah, and that's in Sphere for that, so that's a really good...
Yeah, that is.
And it's quite handy, because the Mariner's Compass didn't actually come out until the Grey Havens box set. So, obviously, with the Grey Havens, you had all those nasty locations on the water that threw you off course and what have you. So, using the Snowbourn Scout and then just Mariner's Compassing one of those nasty locations back into the deck for something a little less nasty. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and I think if you Mariner's Compass, just as a sidelight, since you're talking about it, when you use Mariner's Compass on guarded cards, that frees up a guarded card if a location is guarding it. So you can free up a guarded attachment using Mariner's Compass in this guy.
I think you can as well. So for a cheap ally, he's not very sturdy with only 1 hit point, but if you've got stuff like Guthwine that allows you to recur the Snowbourn Scout, you've got the infinite chump loop.
Right.
And if you've got a character with Horn of Gondor, there's your infinite resource generation.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you say, and I think that one of the things that happens with this card is that, we don't talk about what we're putting on it because you're not trying to put Squire's Helm or, you're not trying to put anything on this card to make it stick around any longer than it needs to. So the only thing that you're really talking about with this card is what can it fuel, in order when you sacrifice it or using it as a chump blocker. So, and that's what you were saying, Ted, about the Helm, and that's what you were saying, Grant, about the Mariner's Compass, is like, how can you use it to fuel other things to make it. I think if you're putting, Squire's Helm on this card, you're doing something wrong. It's just, for one cost, you don't want to, really invest too much into this guy.
Yeah, playing him, you get his effect. Having an inexpensive character around like that having a free character that you can just exhaust is beneficial in a fair amount of quests. There are lots of times, even in the core sets. King Spider is an enemy that when it has a when revealed, when it comes out, you have to exhaust a character you control.
Right.
And he's going to be ready because he quests for 0, so he's not questing, and you exhaust him over one of your heroes.
Right.
And that could save you from an undefended attack. Or having to kill him outright to jump that attack. So having an extra body, if you're playing what's the cycle where you have to do all the sailing? He's a great sailor.
Dream Chaser.
Dream Chaser.
Well, and that's what Grant was saying about the Mariner's Compass.
Oh,
the Mariner's Compass was from that cycle. So
yeah, he's a character that you can exhaust just for the sake of having to exhaust a character. And he comes and you're not exhausting your I played my ally Haldir or my Boromir or my Treebeard. You're like, no, I'm gonna exhaust my 1 cost, no attack scout. And he's gonna do the same thing that a 4 cost ally would to trigger those effects.
Right. So just a quick lore question. I know that Grant probably knows this answer, but I'm reading through the Lord of the Rings books. So do you know why this guy is named the Snowbourn Scout? So Ted, I'll ask you first. Do you know what that comes from?
Is it because he's a bastard child?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Okay, Grant, do you know? I'm assuming you know what Snowbourn Scout is, but if not, I have the answer. So I was shocked. I immediately, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Go on then, let's hear what you got.
Well, the Snowbourn is a river. And so this guy, Snowbourn is like one of the rivers that runs through or borders the lands. So he's a scout of the region around the river, right? He's the
Snowbourn.
Snowbourn. He's not like somebody who was
born of snow.
Yeah, born of the snow, or I don't know, whatever. But like, the Snowbourn is a river, and so actually. This I looked up just to see what the references were, but there was a point at which Theoden asked, "What about the men of Snowbourn?" And Grimbold says, "None have shown."
My lord. Grimbold, how many?
I bring 500 men from the West Fold, my lord.
We have 300 more from Denmark, Commander King. Where are the riders from Snowbourn?
None have come, my lord.
The Snowbourn is a river that runs through Rohan, so that's. And as soon as I saw it on the map, I was like, that's why the Snowbourn Scout is called the Snowbourn Scout, because he's the one that's patrolling the area, making sure that Rohan is staying safe from all its outside predators or whatever.
Yeah,
so.
well.
And that's why he can put one progress on a location, because he's quick.
And if you are wondering where the Snowbourn River is, it's on the border of the East Fold and the West Emnet.
Okay. I didn't know exactly if it was a border between. I just knew that it was part of the Rohan, so that's like I didn't study the map that much yet, but I'm working on it.
The Snowbourn River comes down from the East Emnet at the bottom, and it's basically just northeast of Edoras.
Okay.
On the East Fold.
There it is.
Yeah.
Well, other than this, there is a couple of things that I did also want to mention with the Snowbourn Scout in terms of playing this guy. If you play Theodred with this guy, he comes in, I don't want to say for free, but can kind of come in for free because Theodred can produce the resource.
Because he cost you a slot in your deck.
Right. Right. But, I mean, Theodred does produce a resource when he quests. And then if you're playing him with Santa Theoden or Spirit Theoden, he can come in for free also. And I think, a free ally that can do stuff is amazing, I think. Like, what I mean, like, he's not just a 0011. He's a 0011 that can chump and do whatever, but he also has that place one progress, which I think that pseudo questing, especially early on in an early card pool, is very important. And I said that earlier, but I'm going to reinforce that now because I just think that one progress doesn't seem like much, but play him, and you'll find lots of places to put one progress, and you'll be like, oh, thank God.
Yeah. It's he. For one, if he was more than one, he would definitely be overpriced. Although he could arguably be 0, and I'd still have trouble playing him.
Really?
If he was 0, I think he'd actually be fantastic. I think he'd be, but I don't think have they ever breached that 0 cost. I don't think it's any aside from what Galleon and Eorith, right? Some unique ones. There's no 0 cost generic. Right? Not that I can think of.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So, if there was one, it would be him. I think.
I think if you got rid of his response, he could easily be a 0 cost.
Just the body.
Yeah, just a body, just a chumper.
Just the Rivendell Scout that was secrecy 0, but
Right.
It's the closest you get.
Right.
But there you have it. The
Okay.
Scout of the River Snowbourn.
Of the Snowbourn River. So should we ring this guy?
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay.
Let's ring him up. Let's ring him up.
Okay, so for anybody who is new to the show or has forgotten, we have a highly arbitrary yet scientific system where we rank a card on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is the one card to rule them all, and 10 is a card that we throw back into the fiery chasm from whence it came. So, and again, Phil, thanks so much for giving us that line. Phil is actually lined up to play live with you, right, Grant?
Yep, that's correct.
That'll be great.
Next week.
I've talked to Phil a couple of times over email, and I like him. I enjoy talking to him, but I'm kind of jealous that you'll be live streaming with him. Anyways,
Why don't you come on and join us?
maybe I'll join for a little bit. So
It's 9 p.m. UK Standard Time.
10 a.m. UK Standard Time.
9 p.m.
Oh, 9 p.m. So that's -5. I don't know. Maybe we'll see. But nonetheless, who wants to ring this guy first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
He's a great chump blocker. His artwork is fantastic.
I love his artwork. Yes.
David Owen did. He's great at what he does. He doesn't do an awful lot, other than chump. But I'm going to give him a 4 rings.
4 rings. Okay.
Yep.
Ted?
I'm gonna give him a 7.
Oh, okay. This is great.
And by 7, I mean, well, let's see here. So it looks like the horse is wearing some kind of chainmail barding, and there's got to actually be maybe, I don't know, like 10,000 rings. I mean, he does actually have he has a cool artwork actually that you guys mentioned that. Like he's your Rohan, dude. He's charging into battle.
Yep.
Even though he's not part of the battle, or he is and doesn't stay there very long.
Right.
Yeah, he's I mean, if you want him for chump blocking, like yes, he does that. And like I said, there's a lot of quests where having inexpensive allies are just good to have. Like you mentioned, for the sailing quests, he's good to just have those have a body for, and you don't suffer the ill effects. But in a Rohan deck, he has his place. But a lot of Rohan decks, there's not a lot of other leadership Rohan allies. There's a few. There's like 3 or 4, if you include him. But so many of them tend to not have leadership. But when you do, he has his place. So yeah, he's around.
Well, I'm going to have to go the other way. It seems like whenever I'm putting together a deck and it has leadership in it, whether it's Rohan or not, I'm always pulling out this guy as a chump blocker. The cost of 1 and the ability to pseudo quest for that 1 that when he comes into play, like I just think that that's really good. And shouldn't be passed over. And so I know that there's other leadership chumps, and I think that even in I just think that he's really good in the early card pool, and I don't think that he is I don't think he's lost much over the life of the game. I think he's still good for what he does. So I'm going to have to give him a 3 rings because I'm always looking at this guy to put him in a leadership deck. So there you have it. We have a little bit of a disagreement that we'll take off air after the show about how Ted is horribly wrong about ranking.
Hey, all cards have their place, including the Scout. I gave.
He has a place. He has more of a place than you think he does. Is what this is. But I will submit to you, Ted. You are the resident awesome deck builder. You're the best deck builder I've ever. You are an amazing deck builder. Thank you.
Oh, you're so kind.
Yeah.
But you'll make them look.
So, anyways, join us again as we talk about more cards from the game. Have a great day, everybody. And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed cardtalk2018.libsyn.org for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.